tank event. It was very well organized. One of the a member in the 95th named Peter Saint Peter. He uh, he told me about it. It was quite organized, and it all ended up all very nicely, very organized, and they even have some screenshots, and it looks very fantastic, really. Two lines gathering in one. There's even a YouTube video by Calibrated Core, showing the whole event recorded. And like I said, it looks very organized, and it makes the gameplay experience more fun and enjoyable, not chaotic, not well, you get what I mean.
Gotcha. Who all here was at the that double line event?
Now I
It
was.
was far
That
too
last
late
one,
for
yes.
Europeans. Far
Yeah.
too late. So a few made it, but for the most part, you'll find that it was majority of the Yanks.
Yeah, that was. I believe it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon my time. I'm
Well,
in
the
New
way you
Mexico.
counter that, sorry, the way you counter that is you set up 2 events a week, one European friendly and one NA friendly, or you try to
Right.
hit the middle ground for both, which is
And
really hard to do.
That's the plan as well. Like that's the plan for us.
Right.
We're gonna have two
That's how you
events.
counter that. So
Guys, one time that seems to connect really reasonably well on weekends for both regions is 9 p.m. BST, which I think works out to about 5 p.m. Eastern time. That
Yeah.
usually seems to get the largest amount of crossover.
four
That is
to
usually the
five
best for
Eastern would
crossovers.
work very
Yeah.
well.
But the
Now-
problem is for now, that time period, that time slot for me at least, and I don't know about anyone else here, is taken up by North and South on Mountain Blade. But I know a lot of you guys have just completely quit that and moved over.
Well, I think that's going to be necessary here very shortly.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
To piggyback onto what Stalin was saying, it's right now 4:30 p.m. Eastern time, and this is the most people I've ever seen on War of Rights in the past like 2 weeks. It's 25 people on right now, so this is like the golden time. So I would have to agree with that.
Right.
Mhm.
If you don't mind if I add real quick, we actually already have stuff that we're trying to get set up on Sundays. Seems like Sundays and Mondays are the most populated days too. This whole past week, including Friday and Saturday, it's just been really dead. And like you said, I believe it was Stockton, because the skirmish modification came out for the game itself. It got really populated, etc. But because now it's kind of dying off, we don't have any scheduled formal events going on. I think it would be a great idea to either establish a set day and a time that we have, one of the events that we posted on the forums, or that just get, good to go. Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea. We just have
Okay,
to make sure
gonna-
that time.
So
Yeah.
also here's what I've got. So mostly what I'm hearing here is the time slot. That's kind of the main thing, is figuring out what times are best. Question I have: would y'all prefer, in general, just everybody? Let's do it this way. This will be our first vote, and we'll be able to see it. Would y'all prefer a double header, so an EU event on, say, Saturday, just an example, say an EU event on Saturday early, and then an NA event the same day later, so do a double header on one day, that way it frees up the other weekend day? Or did y'all prefer to have the split, so have one day have EU, one day have an NA event? So we'll do it this way. We'll do one for split, two for double header. So go ahead and vote now.
Oh, can I
Captains
actually
only.
quickly jump in?
Wait, what was the vote? Which way was the ones and twos?
Two was double header, one was split event. So two is
Oh.
having both events on one day, so EU early and then NA later
Yeah.
on the same day, and then one
yeah, 'cause-
is split it.
Yeah.
Or
Because with
Can
the
I-
EU time,
Can
The
I suggest
problem with
another vote?
splitting the header, I think, in my opinion, is that a lot of the members in our companies, in each all of your companies, gentlemen, they're not only all EUs or all US, so you can't get good manpower if you split it, unless your company is filled with EUs or US.
Oh, it's-
But I don't think that's
but
kind of the case.
can I? To be honest, my company is probably a more sort of diverse than the majority here. Not to, I don't mean to fucking throw shade with that, but
Something or
basically,
You want some.
diversity.
about a quarter of my company is like NAs, or like, and then there's about fucking 3 or 4 Australians as well. And we always seem to find the best mutual time is the sort of later EU time. So to go back to it, the north and south time of 9 p.m. British time and 5 p.m. in EST, just to translate for everyone there. That seems to be the best time for like a crossover. And like, to be fair, if you're gonna have a multi sort of region company, I'd probably advise just going to the EU ones. But one more thing, this is going a bit off the time zones a bit, but problem I think most people are having now is that people aren't like hard signed up for events like they were in NW and stuff, so people don't really feel like they have an obligation to turn up a lot of the time, which is what is killing the events. And
Well, this is
well,
this
let
is
me-
what we're addressing here.
Yeah.
Is with it
yeah,
getting
can I
How are
speak
we
to-
gonna do that?
getting events set in stone. That way
Yeah.
we all know that. All right, everybody knows that this Saturday, again, arbitrary numbers. This Saturday at 5 o'clock, there's going to be an event, and
Yeah.
then at Sunday at 6 o'clock, there's an event. If we just
So-
set those in stone, then we can start worrying about. We can talk about that a little bit later, but talk about who will be running it and who will be not necessarily running it, but who will be like organizing it and get people coming on and
But-
saying.
Well,
Just
I
to
mean,
run off that point a bit more with that, Stone, please.
no worries.
Primary example being the NW community. It's one I've spent the most time with during signups and stuff. If you have a check out that link there, it's not my regiment, but it's a prime example. It's one of the oldest regiments on NW, the 33rd. That what they do is, if you have a look on that event, there's a clearly defined time. They've got a TeamSpeak IP and they'll have a contact on Steam that you can add. What they then also do is get everyone who's coming to fill up a sign up template with all the information. And I know a lot of people seem to be here like trying to counter this with can't put a password on the server, so there's no point in having a sign-ups to accept and decline people. But even if we can't accept and decline people from and stop them from playing, at least we can then start building up a rough idea of who comes, and then if they don't show up on time, the person who's organising it can then go and pester them on Steam
Can
or
I-
have you to make sure they know why the company isn't coming or if they'll come again or what
Can
have
I
you.
add to that?
Yeah.
We don't have that 64-man servers, and obviously here, everybody here represents more than 2 people.
Exactly.
If all of us sign up for an event, not only are we going to have to take into account pubs, but we're going to have to take into account that we're probably going to have more than 64 people. So not only are we going
Yes.
to not be able to lock
That's
the
why
server, but
splitting
we're
the
going to have
events
to
is
split
good.
them into
So-
different servers.
Hold up, guys. Stone, go ahead.
Oh, that was it.
Actually, I'm just going to let this conversation flow on a bit because it's moved off to the point I was going to make, but then I'll bring it back to the point I wanted to make.
Okay.
If
So
I could
how are
actually
we going to
jump
handle
in.
that? We have to have larger servers, and we have to be able to have passwords on the servers.
Well, we
That-
can't.
That is
we
what
can't
we
do
Yeah,
that
those
yet.
passwords are key.
All right, so listen up on this, guys. So with the passwords and the size, we can't do anything with the size right now.
Right.
The general thought is we probably won't see an increase in size bump until the sergeant tier comes out. I mean, that's just a matter of fact. We've all been a part of the community. Some of us have been a part of the community since the very beginning for 5+ years. Some of us are fairly new to skirmish. But for the most part, I mean, all you old vets that have been around for a while know that Campfire Games is very much hurry up and wait. They hurry up, get to the point that they want to get to, and then it's a lot of waiting and very quiet. We don't really know what's going on until it happens. They spring it on us. So, just rule of thumb. I mean, I wouldn't be expecting a server bump anytime soon. I'd be pleasantly surprised if it happened, but I mean, you can't really expect too much because we.
So- If I could quickly throw a word in here, I was part of the a lot of different things back in NW and even farther back into Mountain Musket back when I was even older. And one of the primary events was the German armies or Prussian armies, I guess. Multiple events that they would run. They would run Saturday and Sunday, as I remember.
User was moved to your channel.
And how they did it was they would run, and then there was the 22nd, I think, one of the French armies ones. Either way, how they do it is if we have access to multiple servers, they would have several admins running several different servers doing, each their own battles with, rounds and stuff simultaneously. So you can get this total event thing, this sign-up sheet, as somebody else was describing earlier, and then from that, the admins can throw together what they think is a reasonable list of forces opposed to each other, throw them into a server, and do the same to fill out as many servers as possible and still keep them balanced.
So
Yeah, if I
I'm gonna
can
go
add to
before
that.
I'm gonna go ahead and cut that conversation real quick here. We're getting a little farther ahead than we need to be right now. Like that's going to be a conversation we need to have. At this time, though, we still need to hammer down times. Like we'll worry about that
Well, we need to
stuff
get
later.
a day.
Yeah,
now
like-
this
so-
returns back to the point that I wished to make earlier.
Okay, go for it.
Now I'm going to be a bit selfish, going to toot my own horn here. The 42nd, we've been having. I mean, it's not an amazing time due to the fact that it is controlled by us, but we've had this event going on for ages before skirmishes even came out. And now that skirmishes came out, we are still leading public training for those who feel like attending, but once they're done, we are subsequently heading onto the skirmish servers, which obviously brings up the point of empty skirmish servers. So there are events that exist, and stuff is going on, but for the most part, people are either keeping it to themselves, or when it is made public, we had a sign up for this. We had the 38th North Carolina Company K sign up. They've never shown up. But there are events, they're kept too private at the moment, I feel, in terms of what the times are and when they're going on. Whereas those events that are public, tooting my own horn here, my one, it's not a great time. I can look to maybe edit it to fit the community better. But those events that are public and very much open for use are somewhat being ignored almost.
Well, and that's the thing is, we gotta just open up the conversation, and that's what this is about. Is whether it's you see a couple of guys on here that maybe we don't want to do a big massive event. It's more or less, hey, we're gonna get together on these times. Like everybody here should be familiarizing themselves with other people, getting used to speaking with the other officers here because we're the ones that have to hold the events. I mean, the devs aren't going to help us out with it. So the as far as the and that to me that's part of the reason why is that all these private events. What ends up happening is they've got their own little offshoot rule sets, and they don't always work out. Whether it's people ignoring the rules or miscommunications on the rules, and then just evolves into a he said, she said, argument, and this is what we're
Right.
trying to avoid.
So-
So, go ahead.
But what you're saying is it comes down to two issues: publicity and cohesion, and
Exactly.
communication. Well, it's actually three
I've-
issues.
I've got a point I would like to make, and now I don't want anybody to quote me on this one, but I'm just reading on the forums right now and the FAQs about you know how in say if you've been in the Modern Warband community and stuff like that, North and South, you can host events and stuff personally or organized personally instead of a public event. Now, personally for myself, I don't really like public events because it's hard to organize and it's very chaotic getting people to team speak and stuff like that and organizing one by one using push a talk in game. But from what I'm reading, and I don't want anybody to quote me on this, but I can send you some sources. But the developers doesn't really aim for. I'm gonna read this out. All right. So one of the question is I heard War of Rights would feature a massive online battles. How many player will be able to play on a single private server? And the answer is we cannot give an exact number at this point, but the end goal is to have large player numbers on the server. So that's kind of indicating that everything will be in a way publicly. Now, in my own preference, I don't like that. I want to be able to make a dedicated server and do stuff privately with other companies or organize it on our own.
Well, so yeah, now
Now,
I've had personal conversations with a couple of developers and one-on-one conversations. It's a guarantee they will have servers available, like they had in North and South and NW, where you'll be able to have the 95th New York server, and we'll have our own server, so on and so forth. So it makes it a little bit easier, but that's down the road. They're not planning on that right now because the player base is so small, and they have other things that they're trying to focus on right now. Now, I will go ahead and bring this up here. I keep hearing it coming up in chat, and I keep hearing it being spoken about, and it's the North and South and NW. Now, I mean, lots of us, obviously, the type of communities merge from game or migrate from game to game. Lots of us went from NW, lots of us came from North and South, so on and so forth. But I want to try to get out of the habit of trying to set stuff up in lieu or mimicking it after North and South
Absolutely.
and NW, because it's going to be different. This is a different
Agreed.
game. It needs to be fresh. And we can take the experiences that we've had in those, but as far as saying this is how they did it, so we should do it this way. I want to try to get away from that.
Or even
The thing-
scheduling it around it is.
The thing
very
is,
good.
I think scheduling around the times. Sorry, do you mind if I talk for just a second?
That's fine.
I think scheduling around the times at the current status of war rights is important because majority of people I feel within our companies do have commitments to either NW or North and South groups around the times. So it's definitely important to try and not overlap as much as possible. Obviously, it will happen nonetheless. But I think if scheduling an event for people to play, it would be better if we want to get numbers that would be efficient, that we should try to schedule around those times. Not in the future, of course. But for now, because the community is a bit smaller, we have to take that into account.
Let's get a hard vote on days and times right now because we're kind
Okay,
of skirting
then.
around the idea.
Okay, can I interject one thing real quick? My thought was maybe perhaps if we're talking about doing an EU and an NA event, what if we did it on both Saturdays and Sundays, like have double events both days, so that way the people that can attend on Sunday or can attend on Saturday can get in one of those days and attend the event, and we'll
It's
have
fair,
a set
but you
time
might
for it.
overlog it.
Yeah, and then you can alternate companies.
Let's get a
Jesus
vote
Christ,
on
that mic.
Paoletti was hot micing, so
Yeah, was that me?
Yep.
Okay. Apologies.
Okay,
it was
gents,
full on as
I'm
well.
gonna
His
throw
mic's low.
myself under the bus a little bit here. If we're gonna actually reach a decisive vote, I'd like to put the 42nd Pennsylvania timings forward for votes, so that we can make it more open for other companies to attend.
What is that, like 1:30 EST?
So currently we've scheduled it because most of our backers at the time of organisation were our EU backers, but as things have gone, the number of men in our unit has risen and the number of American backers has risen. So currently, the time is 1900 British Standard Time, which is 1500 Eastern Time, on a Friday. So the next one would have been the 7th of June.
It's 3 o'clock
So
Eastern for everyone.
firstly, I'd like to put forward what would people think would be a better day in terms of
Sunday.
day, and then
Saturday.
following that, what do they think would be a better time?
Well, I think the time is good. I think Saturday or Sunday would work better, though,
So-
for Americans.
At a later, 1 hour later, because you're not taking into account all the people in the Western.
The other
Time
time
zone.
So you're saying 2000 hours?
Well, I'm in
Yes.
I'm in the Pacific Standard
Yes,
Time, and I can
2000
still make
hours
that.
British Standard Time.
All right,
Still,
so-
I mean, that is quite early for some of the more Western Americans.
No, and I agree with that. So that's why the the 4 o'clock time kind of helps them out a little bit more. So 4 o'clock Eastern.
That would be 2100 BS.
We do need to take into
Well, that is true.
consideration, I still want this event to be oriented more towards EU, but still be NA friendly, if that makes sense.
the
Oh,
late,
so this is
latest,
the EU, more EU friendly.
This is the event that I would like to be more EU friendly, but can be attended
Okay.
by Americans if they so
It-
wish.
it-
So let's
Okay,
do it this
then
way.
we get
Listen
to
up.
choose
All
our
right,
day.
here we go. Well, listen up.
Okay, I
So we get this. So we need to stop trying to meet the middle ground on the event time. We need to split the event time. So the EU guy, that sounds like y'all are pretty unanimous in saying that 3 p.m. Eastern time is prime time for y'all, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
well, what time's that EU time?
7 o'clock.
1900.
Well, yeah, anything through from there to 2 hours beyond, as long as it starts by 9 p.m. BST, then you're all good, pretty much. Like,
Okay. So let's do a consensus. This is going to be just for the EU commanders or people who have a strong showing of EU people. So the mixed companies who have a strong showing of EU members. Let's have a vote. I want to have this is 3 o'clock being the best time. 3 o'clock Eastern time, whatever that is, converted.
1900 British Standard Time or 2000 hours British Standard Time.
Okay. So 1 for yes, 2 for no.
Wait, what?
No.
We're lost.
Oh no!
So
We've
basically,
lost the
3 o'clock Eastern would be 1800 British Standard.
No, guys. I
No,
was saying.
1900.
No,
I was saying the
Oh
vote.
god.
Guys, listen up. We're not worrying about the time. Like I said, you can do the conversion on your own. It's 3 p.m. Eastern. Do your conversions. It's gonna be a yes or 1 is a yes. If y'all believe that is the best time for y'all, 1 is a yes, 2 is no. This should only be pertaining to EU focused units.
Major, while we're talking about this, or while we're voting for this, can I add in a word?
Quickly.
Okay, so I know time
Harry.
zones and everything. Feel free to vote, guys. This isn't going to change anything with the votes. So, just real quick, with the time zones and the timelines and the lack of numbers that we have being an issue, what if we go with a more loose schedule, not just not really have a set time where everyone shows up for the thing, but we say, okay, on Friday nights we starting at say 5 Eastern, just open it up, try to have everybody join around between 5 and 6, and then just populate the server for 2 hours.
That's
as
hard
long
to
as
get
we
our guys in there for that, though. It's hard to do that.
Yeah, the problem is with that is that like you'll have a regiment say turn up. Like you might just have at the start of it smack on 5. A regiment shows up, no other regiment shows up for like half an hour. That regiment leader then decides, right, there's nothing going on, let's head off, and then you could have like a pitter patter of only like 10 guys say being on at once. Whereas if you
There
have
has to be a
set
specific
strict time, you could have
That's how
all
it
40
works.
people say to show up.
We can't bat around the bush with trying to be like, oh, we should include the other people. It's got to be like, right, boom, this is the EU time. Right, boom,
Yes.
this is the NA time. We can't bat around and fanny around with trying to be inclusive. You can't always be inclusive.
Why can't we be closer?
Well, if we look at the results,
Yeah, so listen up, guys.
we have it quite clear.
It's quite clearly a yes from the EU focused companies stating, or groups, sorry, that are stating that they feel like that time is going to be the best time for that event. Now, whether that's going to be flexing before or after, we can discuss that later. But that time right there is the prime time. It seems like. Now I know we got a couple of the Germans, people who are a little bit farther down the time zone. You'd like a little bit earlier. That's something else that y'all can discuss on the EU side. Basically, what we're going to try to do is once we can get these set, we're going to try to get some people who are going to be the point of contacts for these events. Somebody who wants to volunteer to help just be the point of contact. Say, hey, this is what's going on. What's the situation? So that's the EU. We'll shelf that for now. That's the EU time. Now NA times for weekends. Going off of EST for the NA guys, what do y'all feels like prime time? 8
EST.
8 EST.
Sound muted.
You have time to get home from work, whatever you're doing.
Yeah, if you do it in the
That's still
earlier,
fine.
then
Yeah, that still screws the
PSTs.
PST guys.
I mean, PSTs
Well,
already have problems because it's
We're
5
gonna
for them.
Right.
as a Californian,
Sound resumed.
PST guys will always suffer, and I do not think, if we're gonna be completely fair, that we should be the measurement by which we
Nah,
decide.
Well, you're on the lowest
EST
end of
and
what we
Central
find
far
reasonable.
outweighs the Western players.
Well, and
Right.
this is the thing. What's instead of doing it on a Friday though, I feel like having it at 5 o'clock in the afternoon on a weekend day. It's
On a
not
Sunday.
Yeah, it makes
Sunday's
it
the
easier
easiest day.
for them.
Yeah, for sure. 5 o'clock. I have a lot of events at 5 that I've done, and 5 is doable for at least me. And I imagine most PST people are about the same. So.
Okay.
So I believe 8 is the
8. So
is
we'll go
the-
have a vote on it. Again,
Yeah, it would do.
one from each NA dominant unit. 8 o'clock. 1 yes, 2 no.
Maybe on weekdays push it back an hour, but
give
for
people time to get home
weekends,
from work.
we should definitely
Right.
do 8 p.m. EST, especially because a lot of us do stuff during the night on weekends. Like for instance, even on Fridays, I'm always with my family, so I just want to hack out the event at 6 p.m. Mountain Time for me, and then be done.
See, that's
then
one of the
that'll work,
benefits at 5 o'clock for PST is it lets people do this and then go do their night thing. So it's useful for PST at least.
And then it lets the Eastern guys be done with their afternoon
Night
stuff
thing.
and get on with their night. So
People have lives outside of Orb, right?
right.
And then the Mountain Time
This
guys
isn't real
get
life.
fucked, but we're
Heresy.
still okay.
So what we have here is a big divide in the American time zones, and the European time zones are relatively close together. So the problem
Yeah.
is back to the states, really.
Right, so we'll go ahead and just try to chime in with us on here. So I understand the issue with the times. Having the earlier time though, I think someone brought up earlier, having 2 events on the weekend instead of just having the one. I think that would probably be the better solution instead of pushing the time forward. Because alternatively, we have people who are doing stuff on weekends, and then
Sound muted.
I mean that 8 o'clock Eastern time is like, okay, you're done with your day, and now you can sit down and have the time to do it. So, honestly, like I said, someone brought it up earlier. I think having do the double header and do it on both days. I think that that throws the widest net. That gets the most people because, and again, another point someone else brought up was that there's a lot of people in this channel right now that represent a lot of people. We can't, if we all just have just one event, we can't cram everybody into a 64-man server on one event. But if it's spread out, and say some unit comes in a little bit later, says, "Oh, well, I can't make this event; it's full already." It's not a big deal. You don't have to wait a week. It's like, okay, well then I'll just sign up, talk to the person who's the contact, say we're going to come to tomorrow's event instead.
I still
And
think
also, one more thing. I've never known a single regiment that would refuse two weekend events instead of only having one. Like, there's no regiment that would only go to one. Like, let's be honest, 90% of regiments would go to both unless they physically couldn't make it to, or one of them.
Right.
Well, I think maybe
NA events are a stretch for EUs, but yeah, NAs could easily make the EU events.
Well, that's the problem. It's like we're not like so we're doing this. The EU guys have their event. That's why we're trying to focus this. We're not going to make it earlier for EU guys on the NA event. This is for the NA guys predominantly. If EU guys stay up for that event, it's awesome. It's great. But like I said, that's the whole problem that we're running into.
Now,
trying to compromise for both groups.
For the EU thing, I'm just going to quickly throw in the fact that we're sort of central point of contact and what have you. There is a Steam group for the 42nd time, which is going to begin to be changed to be more community friendly, and it's this. Oh, come on, enter button. This Steam group right here. So if you have voted in it in the time change to what is now 8 o'clock, and you do want to come along, do feel free to join that group because we do regularly post our timings on the fact that we are beginning and what have you.
Are we gonna end up changing the name of it from 40 seconds?
Well, no. So, like I said, these
you
events,
can't.
You've got the 40. You've got the 40 seconds training event that then they go on to the skirmish server, and that's great. However, like I said, we're trying to keep these on the 2 weekend days for these events. So on the Friday, what this does and helps you out with Stone is that if we start doing this, you can get in contact with more people, and more people are aware of your Friday training, and they can attend that. That's just something else extra for them to go to. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to focus on these 2 days to get something set in stone and have some point of contacts that units that want to go to an event can reach out and say, I want to go to this event on Saturday.
I did say I'd be willing to put forward the change of time from Friday to the Saturday event. And cancelled because honestly, the training is a private thing. It was public during the whole Hoozamajig, but now that skirmish has started, we can change our times from the Friday to the Saturday. God, my cold's killing me.
I'm not being funny, but like, I wouldn't bother doing a public training on the Saturday. I'd rather it be a proper
no,
event,
not public training on the Saturday. Not public training.
Yeah.
The public training thing is being shelved.
Yeah.
I'm saying moving the 42nd shit to Saturday.
Yeah.
For skirmish. No training, none of that for skirmish.
Yeah.
I would like to say about the double header thing. I still don't agree with it because the schedule of each company is different. In our company, we have events on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, which is all the weekdays. And if we dedicate 2 days, say Saturday and Sunday, into an event, we'll only have Friday to train. And during Fridays,
you don't have to
go around the community.
Dries
That's how
up.
this works. You
could just hold your drills an hour earlier, like it.
Well, not even that. So listen. So on that, we're not saying that you have to attend all 4 events on the double header days. What that does is there's 4 events. Essentially, there's 4 events every weekend. There's 2 EU events and there's 2 NA events. That gives each company 4 opportunities, or if in case you're only one time zone, 2 opportunities to make an event. You don't have to go to both Saturday and Sunday. If you just want to go to Saturday events every other week, that's your prerogative. But what will happen is you've got these point of contacts set up for this event, and you decide, we're going to try to make this event. Say the 95th New York, we're going to try to make this EU event on Sunday. You reach out to the EU Sunday point of contact that we're going to try to attend that event. So he says good, and so he reserves you your spot, and then we can go from there on that.
And let me just throw one thing in too, real quick. As far as like events go, like what are we thinking of? Are we thinking of skirmishes? Are we thinking of organized line battles? And 2, a lot of times when we get into this type of stuff, often there's a real lack of communication. So when we do these events, both sides have to communicate a little bit better. That's been the common denominator as far as the problem goes, is that one side isn't speaking or the other side isn't speaking, or the whole thing's just kind of screwed up. So I think, the point of context point that you made was a good one, just because everybody needs to be on the same page.
I agree with Paoletti. I agree with Paoletti. The 95th and the 6LA, we made a bunch of rules of our own if we ever do a line battle thing, and it's the rules is fairly basic, fairly simple, but it's also cooperative. So you don't really claim victories or whatever. Usually in previous events we have attended with other companies and regiments, there is not exactly a good organization, so we don't know if we lost or if we win. And in the end, they just said, "Oh, you lost yesterday," and like we don't know if we lost or we win, or what's the winning situation, what's not, the conditions. And
Right,
that
and it's
lack
not
of
always about winning or
communication
losing. A lot of it's you want to
is
progress your
demoralizing.
company, and sharpen up your skills. You know what I'm saying? So
Again, so we're getting ahead. We can talk about this. We're getting ahead of where we're trying to get to, guys. So,
sorry.
So, again, squaring this down. We got to square this down in the next 10 minutes. That's all I've got allotted for this time for this subject. So, all EU people, or let's do this. All in favor of having double headers on both days. So you have the EU event in the morning on both days, and an NA event on both days. That way, there's multiple opportunities to have an event. All in favor of that, put 1 in chat. All against, put 2 in chat with a brief description of why.
That's unanimous.
It's not unanimous. There's a couple in there, but we'll go ahead and vote. There we go.
Heavy
All right,
majority.
So now what I'm going to do, everybody else, we're hold off, holster it, and let's see here. Robert, what was the reasoning behind not wanting to do the double header event? Just an explanation.
Well, in my preference, like before with, let's say, the Union back in the day, when I used to host the events on Saturday at 9 GMT, everyone knew there was an EU event at 9 GMT. It was able for both NAs and EUs to be able to join in because of that time period. I would reckon having 2 events on the same day for EU would probably would be a bad idea, such as if one person, let's say like one company cannot attend a certain event where there's more population, where you can fight against more people, where the lower class event will probably not get enough members, let's say, as another event with better timing. I think that would be an issue.
Well, okay, so I'll go ahead and do the rebuttal on it. So the whole issue behind that, there should be 2 events. There's not 2 EU events on the same day. There's an EU event, and then there's 1 EU event in the early on, and then 1 NA event later in the day. Now, as far as the reasoning of if somebody can't make that one event and the other one's less populated, well, there's a reason why the other one's less populated. Is because there's not people on being able to play. So
I think what Harry means is he's concerned that the amount of personnel, let's say one event, if the EU event is more populated than the NA event, people won't get to play at the same standard, and it'll be a bit unfair, a bit subservient. And you'll get what's sort of a splitting effect instead of a sort of unanimous, what we're aiming for. I think it's just more of a concern on the groupings. I mean, the times are fine. I think the times aren't the problem. It's more of the cohesion of the community is what I think he's pointing out.
Well, and I mean, regardless, even if going back as an example to North and South and things like that, the EU time zones on Sunday, like there was the Siege event, you would always see more people attend that because the NA guys were off, so they could get on early, and the NA guys were still up. Or sorry, the EU guys were still up. But as it stands right now, I still think that there are plenty of NA people online that just they need to get together to attend those events. I don't see it being an issue, honestly.
Agreed.
I mean, if it is an issue, nothing's set in stone, and if it is that bad an issue, we can just reconvene and change it to 1 event a day.
Exactly, just like Gray said, if I can just add 2 cents really fast. You know, this not only allows for North American players and both Europeans to attend these events, you're just opening up the opportunity door for everyone to attend. Regardless of the experience that we're aiming for right now, that's not the important side of it. Yes, it is important, but what we're trying to schedule to get everything organized and in cohesion as far as working for every person, regardless of where you're at, I think the fact that we have 4 events total throughout the weekend, I think that's going to draw a bigger player base and more people, including public players, not even in our regiments, as we stand all in this team speak. It's going to attract the player base because people just hop on to see how many numbers are on these servers. If they see, a server in Europe versus one in North America, it doesn't matter. They're going to jump on, and then there you go. You got some more recruiting potential, and you have a bigger player base.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And if I can add to something earlier, Stockton, I heard you say that, if the server was filled up and they could just wait for the next day. I mean, if we're seeing huge numbers come to these, say 100 people, I mean, there's no reason not to have those
will.
extra people fill
Well,
into another server at the same
We have to
time.
figure out how to divide the attendance well
It's
enough.
not
I
even
used to
that, to be fair.
administrate DA
It's-
events.
Yeah.
You have
It's
to
easy
divide
to-
it properly.
Yeah, it's
Well,
easy
yeah.
to divide up events and stuff, but like that is not your main concern right now. To be fair, is how to divide players between the server because we don't even know how we're going to make sure people attend in the first place, which seems to be the largest issue. Like I think there was one event maybe a month or so back now, where like these guys would run everything through the forums, and they wouldn't add anyone on Steam, and like half an hour before the event, they'd say, "Oh yeah, the event's starting in half an hour on the forums or whatever." But there'd always be barely anyone showing up because no one really sits on the forums waiting for events to show up or looks for announcements through events, which is why for me I think it's pretty important if you're going to do an event, make sure you get some contacts on Steam so you can send the word
We are
around that your
doing
event's
that right
starting.
now. We've
And
got to set
that's-
up a point of
Yeah.
contact.
Yeah, and that's what it is. So, now, let's see. So Patwick, you said no as well for that. Let me just get you to chime in real quick again as to why you don't
No,
agree
I
with.
just corrected my vote.
Yeah,
Okay.
he corrected his. Yeah.
Real quick, I would have everybody link their Steam account in the chat, and then just make a tag for War of Rights, so everybody in here's got each other on Steam.
That, and also, guys, I have a Steam group created. Some of y'all are already in it. It's the unit commanders. All the people that I've already got on there, they're the unit commanders Steam group. I'll be sending an invite to everybody that's here to that Steam group. So we are all in one Steam group. That's for unit commanders.
Should
only.
this be mostly captains? Because I don't know if
That's why we'll
Well,
still add
it's-
people on Steam. But if you
Okay.
get an invite and you don't feel like you should be in that unit commander one, just ignore it, and that's fine. But I'm gonna send it to everybody who posts their Steam link there.
Anybody who has anything to do with organizing their company for events.
Exactly.
Even if you have
Yep.
nothing to do with it, it can be helpful just to spot out for announcements in case your company commander misses it. To be fair, like having more eyes in the announcers in the group is never a harm as long as the group leaders don't mind
I
it.
think if you feel like
Exactly.
you need to be added, you can put your name in there.
Exactly. Put your name in there. I'm going to invite every Steam link that gets put there. So,
Let me get this right. This is going to be a community, right?
well,
Yes.
yeah, for the most
Pretty
part. And what it's going to be is an event community, not necessarily a working together community. It's
This
four of us.
is actually a really good idea because if we can do organized events, it can not only can it attract players and all of you companies can do your recruiting bits if you want with the public players who join and say, oh, there's a line battle. They don't usually see this instead of just joining a skirmish. Everybody's scrambled around. You got one holding events, you got one running around acting as a fucking officer or something like that. I think it's a really good idea.
Well,
what-
and
what you're-
even if you got, say, like people were having issues, like the Germans were having issues with the time being a little bit too late for them on the EU time. Well, what could happen is if we're all in this Steam community group, what will happen is they can reach out to some of those guys and say, hey, we want to hold an event. Does somebody want to come and hop on the server with us and schedule it like a week in advance? That way, everybody has a way to reach out to people that we know. Obviously, you're here because you want to put forth the effort to making events happen. Whether that's going to be the big major events that we try to schedule, or whether it's we're all in a Steam group and we say, hey, the 1st Texas and the 38th are going to get together, 95th and the 42nd. Do y'all want to hop on and have at it? So stuff like that is what we're going to be looking for.
One thing to add that, for the sake of balance, sometimes some of you may have to give up your default faction, so sometimes the Confederate may have to go Union for balance and
Yeah.
vice versa. And for the sake of the game, I'd say just don't whine about it. Just suck it up, and it'll probably get switched around. You know,
Well,
it won't
then
be the
that's
same people doing
yeah,
it all
and
the
that's
time.
fine. And something else. So I think we've got the days established, basically, right? I feel like the majority of people feel like the double headers on the
Saturday
2
and
weekends
Sunday.
will work. So
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
put that as for now. The last part of getting the that scheduled is: do we want to have one representative for each of the 4 events, or do we want to have a person or a point of contact for just each day or each time zone?
That depends on who's able to attend what. I would
Yeah.
say.
Right. Like for
It's
instance, for
volunteer
me.
basis, guys.
Okay. Well, for me per se, I mean, I could do Sundays, but Saturdays I have to work. So I would then, like now, the events on Saturdays, my number 2 would then lead the 6th Louisiana, but on Sundays I would be back, and then I would lead them personally, and I could take some of
Well,
that.
I would prefer. No, this is for a point of contacts. This is
Right.
for. I want volunteers. Let's do it this way. We're gonna do. Do y'all? What do y'all think? I want some voices. Do y'all think it should be one point of contact just for the EU side both days, and one point of contact for NA both days, or should it be for each individual event?
We need somebody that can be reached 7 days a week.
Well, yeah, no, there'll be point of contacts as well, but
Well,
just for these events, the
speaking
ones that are
for
gonna be.
myself.
Go for it.
I'm on every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I can help if if it's required.
And then that's what we're
We
looking
don't-
for. We're looking for a volunteer. What this person, these volunteers that we're asking for, are not people who are going to be running the events. They're not admins because there's no adminning. But what it is this is the guy. Example, say I'm the person for Saturday night, like the NA event. If you are wanting to attend the Saturday night NA event for that week, sometime during that week leading up to it, I should receive a message from you stating that you want to attend this event. And then I'll say, I'll put you on the list. So we'll get a list formed, and if it looks like it's going to be a big event, that's when we can start deciding if we want to split it or do this and that. And then
I
those,
see.
yeah, that's all it is. You're the person that's going to help admin that event, as far as you're the person that the unit commander is going to contact and say, hey, we're planning on attending your event this day for this time.
Right. Essentially an organizer.
Right.
The organizer, yeah, not point of contact. Organizer is a better word for it.
Yes.
What will happen is these organizers, if you're going to volunteer, you're going to get the inside our unit commander Steam group. You'll be a moderator in that Steam group, and we'll have a thread where you can post and see who's going to be attending and so on and so forth.
I would like to volunteer myself. Actually, it sounds very interesting.
For which event? Both EU events or just
EU
one day?
events, yes, EU events.
Okay. Go on, grab your thing here.
You know, in addition to that, Stockton, so our main line of communication would be the Steam group. We would have the event coordinators helping out, trying to get everything organized. And
Exactly.
then once we have it closer to the actual event itself, we'll go ahead and post something on the forums so everybody is there. Everybody knows what's going on. We're all on the same page, like Paylodi was saying. And that Steam group, I think, is an awesome idea because that will be our main line of communication for time being.
And the title of it is Unit Commander. It's a War of Rights Unit Commanders, I think is what I titled it. But so I've got Patwick for EU. I want a backup as well. So do we have another EU guy? Either we can do one day or both days. That could be a backup point of contact. Any volunteers?
Some of these guys have their headsets muted. I bet Roy would like to. I think he's expressed interest. Where is he?
Will we also discuss the rules pertaining the events? I mean, you gotta have it organized. And you have to tweak it
That's
somehow.
that's coming up. Yeah, I'm trying to keep us from jumping too far ahead. Like I've got it blocked down time sections, and
all right.
One step at a time.
We'll go back to the backup contact. Now, do we have any volunteers for the NA time events?
I can definitely volunteer. I don't work weekends, so if you'd like me to be the event coordinator for the North American events, I can definitely do that.
Both of them?
I could probably do Saturday. Saturday probably be best. Yeah. Sunday, I gotta go to church in the evenings, all that good stuff.
Gotcha.
I can help with the coordination too.
On Saturday or Sundays?
Be free both days.
Like I said, just to add, as soon as we get this all established, we'll go ahead and post it on the forum so people know what the rules are. They know who's coordinating, all that good stuff.
Oh, another thing I would like to bring up: the what tool are we going to use to communicate to say four companies is in one event? Yeah, two companies in Union, two companies in
Well,
Confederate.
that's again, that's a little bit down for the scheduling and the actual events themselves. So we're just trying to get the point of contacts right now. So now, sorry, I missed that. I had to do some sign language. It takes all my focus to do that. Now, you were saying somebody said that they were could be available to be a second point of contact for NA events. Who was that?
Me.
Me. Okay, and you said for both days.
Yep.
Okay.
I got plenty of officers in my battery to lead. Because historical way, I'm treating my battery like a historical battery.
Yeah, I'm interested to see some artillery come in, but so yeah, that's good. And like I said, point of contact stuff. I'll get together with all the people who are volunteering so we can go over a little bit more detail of what you'll need to do, and we can all discuss it on the side, as far as the best ways to do it. So do we have any primary contact for the Sunday NA event that can be here? The guaranteed Sunday point of contact volunteers. Sunday NA.
I could do Sunday. I definitely can't do Saturday because I'll be working all day and night. So.
Well, no, Matt's already said that he could do the Saturday.
Okay. Okay. All right. Right on. Yeah, just because I work 6 days, so Sunday's technically the only day I actually get off of work.
Yeah, Letty, if you want me to take up Saturday, I can do Saturday, man. You can do Sunday if you'd like.
That sounds good to me, brother.
All right, perfect.
Okay, so Massey Saturday, Pay Letty Sunday. Okay, NA, right now I've just got Patwick, or EU, sorry. I've got Patwick as the primary for both days. I need a secondary, I need Stone on.
Yeah, where's Stone? I think he really expressed interest in doing that.
I don't think he's muted at the moment.
He's muted.
He is.
There he is. He's here.
Yellow.
So Stone,
Sorry,
we got.
I got a phone call. I was terribly sorry.
No, you're good. So Patwick is volunteered to be the primary point of contact for both Saturday and Sunday events, but we're needing a backup just in case when we're trying to find a volunteer to do that.
I mean, I'm going to decline considering I put myself forward as the person to be the primary and you guys shot me down, so I'm going to have to decline on that one.
Oh, we didn't shoot you down. You weren't here.
Yeah, you were muted. I was asking for volunteers, and I guess you were muted.
No,
You could still be. We just gotta figure that out.
I put myself forward about 20 minutes ago, and it just got shot down, and everything
I know,
got
I tried to
repeated.
tell you.
Well, no, the thing that got shot down, Stone, was the fact that it sounded like you were trying to push your 42nd event as to be a 42nd weekend event that you could host.
I was
That's what it
pushing
sounded
forwards
like.
the fact that we could change it to being the primary EU event. The fact that I was already there as somebody who'd been leading this stuff for ages. I was putting myself forwards as the voluntary primary contact, and it got blown out the sky.
Oh, it's just communication. Doesn't change the fact that we want you to fucking to do
Listen,
it.
it didn't go down like that. You weren't here when we asked for people. If you would have volunteered first, I mean, we can still. I'm sure we could still, if Patwick is willing, change the roles around. I don't think that's been set in stone either.
Yeah, but man, in fact, plenty of people actually stood up and said we were looking for you.
Yeah,
So,
I said, "Where's Roy?"
Phone call.
Yeah,
no,
right.
it's okay.
So, I
It's
mean,
okay.
we just
I'm just trying to let you know what happened when
See
you
if
were
y'all
gone.
want to
Everybody was
reverse roles
looking
here.
for you.
No,
If y'all wanna
gentlemen,
reverse
this
roles.
has just gone round and round in circles in terms of what's been happening. It's achieved very little, so I'm terribly sorry, gentlemen, but I've got work tomorrow, so I do need to head off. So I'm going to bid you all a good evening. Take care of yourselves.
Yeah.
Have fun times.
Well then.
Okay.
That turned south fast.
Yeah, but
I'm kind of disappointed at that action, but
He doesn't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
We got
So,
mad about it.
You guys
settle
gotta
down,
go.
settle down,
Anyways,
settle down. Holster it. All right. So yeah, that happened. So what? Obviously his mic was muted. We've accomplished a lot. All right, so far we've been accomplishing a lot. I think we've been doing a good job. And it's not even an hour into yet, and I think we're hitting ahead of it. So now, we still need a secondary. Do we just have any other volunteers or anything like that possibly that could help out Patwick? Again, this is EU guys.
Yeah, I'll have step in as a secondary.
Okay, I'll put LaBelle for both days, LaBelle.
Yeah, go ahead for both days. Fine.
Okay. So that takes care of that. That rounds that off. We're ahead of schedule. All right, guys. So Just to clarify that first little bit that we've gone over, is we've got we're gonna do an EU event at 3, for now, 3 p.m. Eastern, converted to your time, and it will be your primary contact will be Pat Wick. We'll go over that once we get more into the rules of it. For both days, and LaBelle, if you can't for whatever reason get a hold of Pat Wick, you can always contact LaBelle as well, and then y'all can try to work something out and get that on the schedule, which will be on that forum page. And then for NA, we'll be at 8 Eastern time for NA events, and you'll contact Massey on Saturdays, Paletti for Sundays if you're wanting to attend those, and then Bates is the backup. If y'all can't get a hold of them for whatever reason, you can contact Bates. Again, it's all gonna be on the forum page, so I mean, it's gonna be, these contacts are just more or less the rabble rousers. They're gonna be sending out the messages, getting people on.
Will you be making a forum thread for each of these events?
Yes, there'll be. I'm gonna work on the forum and get it nice and structured, and you'll be able to see it. There's already a thread. There's already a thread on there when you first get on there, and I would like people to fill that out when you see it. So yeah, you'll be able to see that as well.
I've got a question about the organization of it.
Go ahead.
Will they be? This is just the first question. Will they be taking expected attendance of each company?
I don't
when
believe
they
so.
sign up for it.
This is
Okay.
we can go ahead and just transition into the events themselves. This is the next major topic: is what's going to go on for the events themselves. So, train of thought: you go back to the NA days or the W days. You come in, you say, "Hey, this is how many guys I have," and you schedule it that way. Which, that's fine for that when you have 200 people. With this little of people, I think it's going. This is a suggestion. It's open for debate. My suggestion would be to have, you can say, we're gonna have low attendance on this day. We're gonna have medium attendance on this day. We're gonna have high attendance on this day, and do it that way instead of trying to take down exact specific numbers for this.
Well, you have to have exact specific numbers because if you have medium, that could be 64 people.
Well, this is the thing: is we don't have 200 people to do an event, so you can't do it. There's not going to be.
We
like
don't know what we have. We haven't ever tried this before. We
Well,
don't
no,
know what we actually have.
But you can't keep going back to NA events to where every single unit. This is again my opinion. People have already brought up and said that they liked Rhett Vito's hardcore event. I was there. I think that the way that event played out was flawless. It was great. It worked really, really well. There was some tweaks that could have been done, which we can discuss about. But essentially, if you weren't there for it, this is how.
Right, boys.
You
Here you
came to
go.
stoop.
Confirmation, boys. The mail has been sent out.
I'm sorry, I have to record this. This is gonna be too entertaining.
Well, the first thing you can record is me saying it's 2:30 in the afternoon. I'm already drinking a beer. Woo!
Good man.
It's
Holy
too
shit.
humming.
2:30.
That's about
No,
right.
no, no. One thing. Could you have a more
Quit
like
hanging out in
fucking
the
hillbilly accent if you tried? Like.
Hold on, can I have a
just
what?
say-
What was that, you Brit fuck?
I thought it was.
Oh,
Drinking beer,
If
not
it
tea,
means
son.
anything, ladies and
I'm
gentlemen,
drinking tea. I don't know what you're
our
talking
dear
about.
friend Stalin isn't even posh by any standards.
No, I'm not.
I'm
I
a
won't even
red-blooded
deny it,
American, and
my
I'm
dude.
drinking tea. That's what we fought the revolution for.
Yeah.
I want
Revolution,
everybody to
did
look
you?
at my
All those
look
brave
at
The
Captain
taxes
Gray's
were too
avatar.
right into a cold harbor. Rip in peace.
I am drinking a beer that says America
We
on
only
the front
threw
of
it
it,
into
sir.
the harbor because it was too expensive.
Does it have a
Hang
MAGA
on,
hat instead of a
We
normal
wanted to
fucking
drink it,
bottle
but we
cap?
couldn't
Yeah.
have it.
It's 2 days until you can start drinking beer with the words America on it. For the time being, can you,
No,
tr-
no, no, no,
can you
no, no,
drink
no,
the
hold on.
Canada ones?
Fuck
See,
that.
remember
the
your
thing
yellow
that
one.
non-Americans
It
don't
feels good
realize
to
is
be
that
150.
the thing
Remember
that
your young
non-Americans
brother,
don't
Cooper.
realize is that every single fucking day is the 4th of July in America.
Amen and God bless.
God bless the USA.
Ow!
burn it
Oh
with
wait,
fire.
shit! I can't say that with a bunch of USA
Unless
people.
you're
Here.
in
God bless the
Dublin,
CSA.
Ow! CSA.
It's okay, Britain.
There you
We'll
go.
trade with you after you leave the E EU.
No, the thing is,
Don't.
oh god, wait a minute, Stone. Which way did you vote on Brexit? By the
I'm
way?
a Scot. I'll give you 3 fucking guesses.
I 3.
That's all.
Wait, that's not fair. I'm a Brexiteer from Scotland.
Hold on.
So,
hold on,
so
hold
you,
on.
Fuck
you
you.
voted
He's
to leave
British
the
and
UK.
can count to 3.
What have you
right?
done?
Do you want to know the best bit? In Wales, in the valleys, right?
In
They
the
received
valleys.
the most
In the
EU
valley.
funding out of anywhere
Yeah, no,
in Europe,
they voted
and
most
they voted to
consistently
leave.
to leave,
Talk about
and then asked
shooting
why
yourself
they're
in the
losing
Oh,
stuff.
the fuck. The Welsh. You see, the problem with the boys from the valleys is that we think we know what we're doing, but they got no
I
fucking
mean,
clue.
they do.
And there's the Irish.
Yeah.
See, the problem with the Irish is that they voted to remain, but now they've suddenly found out that their English buddies are kind of fucking them in the ass. So then they're like, maybe we should come back to Southern Ireland. But the Southern Ireland's like, fuck you, you Protestants. And the Northern Irish are like, yeah, we're fucking Protestants. What's your point?
Hang on.
I don't think
What
Southern
about
Ireland
Arlene
is
Foster then?
being called Southern Ireland.
The Republic of Ireland.
just
It's Southern Ireland.
It's all fun. They got a gay Indian for a prime minister. It'll all be
That's
great.
like, that's like calling
Yeah.
I don't think they're very pleased.
They're all gonna hold hands and everybody's gonna be
Honestly,
happy.
the relationship between Scotland and England nowadays, Scotland might as well just be England's hat.
No, it's getting better. Nicola Sturgeon's getting shafted.
All our
He's getting
useless leaders are
shafted.
named
We
after
should
fish.
have this meeting weekly.
Salmon, sturgeon.
Yeah, our two most useless leaders who've both tried referendums, one of them hasn't gone through. Be like, we should have a referendum. Salmon, who lost his fucking seat at the recent elections, which is hilarious, and now we've got a sturgeon in charge of us. Who's next? Goldfish?
No. They're gonna try Sweeney.
We got any Germans here?
Is the German Legion?
not a
German.
my friend.
Will the German Legion be here tonight?
Now, what did the Germans have anything to do with the Civil War?
A lot
I
of.
think we're getting
well-
off topic here.
Well, the Germans.
There was
the,
more.
Here we go again.
In 1812, that's what we need to know.
More
I know who
Germans.
they were in the revolution. They had.
Trying to form Germany.
If
There
it
were more
means
German
anything,
immigrants that
1812.
served for the North, and there were Irish immigrants.
if it means anything, there was a vote in the US Congress as to whether English or German should be the official language of the nation because of how many Germans there were.
Yeah,
English by 2
It's
votes.
a good thing we didn't vote the wrong way there.
Yeah, English won by 2 votes. It could have been either way.
Well, if
I
we
think,
did, we
uh,
might
It
not
was
have entered
close.
World War One.
I think
We've
we should be
been
speaking
here
Dutch,
12
and
minutes
we
now.
should have renamed New York to New Amsterdam.
Yeah, what are we doing here? Who's not?
Yeah, how long until this starts again?
Having a very friendly conversation.
Last time I checked, it was supposed to start at 8:30.
Minutes ago.
Yeah, gentlemen,
We've already
we'll be
covered
starting,
4 conflicts.
we'll be starting soon. We'll be starting soon.
It's a
We're,
it's a 4:30 start.
Yeah.
Where's Stockton? He's
get-
the one that organized all this.
Yeah, he'll be here in a minute. We're gonna give the rest of the people 15 minutes to get in, and then we'll start. So I appreciate you guys being
We
here.
can continue the bants.
Yeah, thank
Okay,
you for your
so,
patience. Continue the
we've
banter.
got
Have
very
everyone
good to
talk
American
at
number
once.
one.
Let's talk about Vietnam.
Civil War,
Saying, please,
gentlemen.
that'd be great.
What came after the Civil War? What are we going to argue about
We have
now?
the
The
Vietnam
Warring
War, and
States
as a result,
period
we
in
got
China.
rice.
Franco
No,
Press.
War-
The Franco
no,
Press.
no.
Dude, we got
I
a video
reckon
game.
The ball.
Yeah, we got a
reckon we
video
should go
game.
back a
That's
little.
enough.
I
Nah,
reckon
go to the Ball Wars.
1853, when America decided Japan should open up to the world. You fuckers didn't care. Just rocked
Open
up
the
in Japan.
country.
Didn't
with
really
massive
work.
Guns. Hey, titwanks, this is a cannon. Opening up
We
the ports.
we civilized them.
We civilized.
Sem-
them.
How did that go, didn't it?
We
It
we
went very well. They
semi-civilized
did
them.
everything that European
Listen,
countries
listen.
do, like invade people.
Yeah, just when they tried to invade you.
And then we fucking
Hiroshima and Nagasaki, am I right?
and we dropped 2 bombs on them, and they all fucking watch anime.
And then you ripped us off for not giving us the tech we paid for.
Look at it this way. You forced
man,
them
you
open in
gotta
No.
1853.
Right, let me correct you there. Not they all watch anime. You now all watch anime. That's what
yeah,
happened.
we probably.
No, I
should
don't.
have
That's
dropped
disgusting.
We
No,
probably
Gentlemen,
should have dropped 3
They
bombs.
took on their
I
weeb-ass
feel-
culture.
I
I
watch.
feel as though we're getting too,
Kilobytes? Are you kidding me?
too divided.
Are you
We're
kidding
going
me?
to
Oh,
a
tasteful one.
Divide and conquer.
I declare
So
civil
can
war.
we move on to a battle in which we all fought together against a common enemy?
Yes.
The Boxer Rebellion?
D-Day.
Yes. Make them take opiates. How dare they not take opiates?
The British just
Listen,
wanted their
listen,
tea.
Here. I'm gonna fuel you with a shitload of drugs, China. China, we don't want the drugs. Brings along a rifle. You're taking drugs.
How dare you not take drugs?
Do you guys?
That's the East India Trading
You guys
Company.
forgetting why the Brits did that?
Opium.
wanted
We're a bunch
tea,
of
dude.
fucks.
They wanted all their own fucking tea. They didn't want
Dude,
China making tea.
You can measure any action.
No, that's what we took
written
India for.
by a necessary need for tea. It's
It's
just
pretty much it.
everything.
Oh,
The Brits conquered the world for the tea, and then when they decided they had enough tea, they decided to fucking break up their
Is somebody
empire.
recording this?
Oh, actually, the British Empire was one of
I am
the.
actually
I got
recording this.
told-
Give me many opium for tea. Thank you, White
None
Devil.
of those
Oh,
wars
sure,
bother
sure,
me.
sure.
I heard dodgeball is.
What
None of
name
those
they
wars
got
is
is
I'll
getting
tell
it.
you what, the one time that Britain has lost on a number of occasions. I want to see how many of you Americans can list the amount of wars that Britain has lost.
The Cod War with Iceland.
Numbers or
Apart from
just
obviously
wars?
the American Revolution.
American Revolution is a lucky name.
1776, War of 1812.
So we
Yeah,
won
we
1812
have
technically.
I would say you
nobody
lost the
won
first half of
1812.
World War II and World
Great.
War
Well,
One.
you
can't
Sure,
share
half
war.
that
War
war
of
of
Gentlemen,
1812.
gentlemen, Gray is correct. We invaded Afghanistan 2 times and lost.
Lost both.
Before
We had
Taliban
5 British-Afghan wars, did we not?
We've had 3.
You lost
Oh.
World War One and
Oh yeah, then it was the Soviets that cocked it all up after that.
And
first
then,
And then it was our
also
turn. Hooray!
the 100 Years' War. Britain lost the 100 Years' War against
Wait.
France.
Well, that was
Yeah.
England, not as the United Kingdom.
We lost that in the end. Yeah, 114
England
years
is
we
the
lost
United
it.
Kingdom.
Oh yeah, that's how you
Yeah,
lost.
They've got-
England,
Great
England
show.
lost the war.
Technically, you
of the
can't
Roses.
differentiate. You can't say that
technically- Yeah,
England.
technically England lost the war. The
Yet
Roses,
none
the
of
Civil
these
War.
wars are as scary or as bloody
The
as
County
the
of Yorkshire
yearly
should have
war at
won the
war.
We
war.
lost the Irish Civil War as well.
And the Irish Civil War is a
Who's
hard
got
one
the
to
AIDS
debate
mic?
as a war.
You technically
Officially, we
lost
lost.
the War of Independence. Yeah.
Well, I was about to say, apart from that one, which is an obvious one, the Boer War, the first Boer War.
I was gonna.
Well, that was a
I was gonna
disaster.
say you
I
lost
was
the
saying
Boer
the
War.
First Boer War.
We
My
won the
kin,
second,
my
lost
kin
the
over
first.
in South
I
Africa
don't know
raped
about
the
France.
fuck
It
out of the
sounds
Brits in
perfectly
the
good
First
victory.
World War.
We
You
realized
France has
the
lost
Boer War.
53 wars, I
So
believe.
technically that wasn't.
France
yeah.
has just
Does
gone
everybody
downhill
agree that
since
we hate
Napoleon.
Stone. I'll summarize. The first Boer War is pretty fucking simple. We
Yeah.
went over there. We realized that they were too far gone to be civilized and left. Pretty.
We went over there in our bright red tunics and close-knit formations, had a battle where we lost 100 men and the Boers only lost 2, and realised we were a bunch of fuckwits.
And then we came up with khaki,
Then we came up with khaki, yes.
and we won.
The second
After we
one
put them all in
starved
concentration
human
camps.
villages, didn't it?
We
That was
didn't
the second
starve
one.
them, we
In the
put them in
second one, we totally
camps.
invented the concentration camp.
Hey, let's be real though.
The Germans learned from us on that one. They just took it further.
As
Let's be
always,
real.
Germany
The British
perfected it.
They
The French
finished the
flag is
job.
designed so you
like
can
the
rip the other
Australians.
two colors off and just have a white surrender.
Did they ever deport minorities in the First World War for the UK?
No.
I think we
What do you think about the black shirts?
What the BNP?
Oh, well, the British fascists.
They go with black.
Oh fucking. Oh god.
What,
Funny
Mosley?
bunch. Funny bunch, Oswald. Ugh.
You guys know
Do you
about
like
the
the
British
fact that
SS unit?
Years later,
Corbyn.
he turned up, and the first thing that happened when he turned up to like a big thing, he got attacked immediately.
Well, fascism had caused the deaths of millions of people across the world.
Mhm.
Just like communism.
Well, the response to fascism, that is.
Don't know about communism. Did nothing wrong. What it was is the workers could not work hard enough. That's all.
You know what's funny? Out of all 3 of them, the one that's caused the most deaths is democracy.
I don't know about that.
Guess
I
that's
think
just
communism
more
is everything.
democracy
But hey,
than
that's
there is
democratic.
communism.
I'll
freedom,
summarize that
yeah.
one for you as well. You know, democracy just gave people a bit too much freedom sometimes.
Well, look
They-
at when we
they
tried to
couldn't
give
handle it.
Iraq democracy. That worked well, didn't it?
Yeah, but it wasn't really
Uh,
democracy that
hold
killed
on.
people. It was high explosives attached to people.
Exactly.
High explosives attached to
America
I think it
perfected
was
the
Islam
sound.
that killed
It
everybody.
wasn't like a roadside democracy bomb that just exploded on people.
No. What America perfected the sound of freedom. It sounds a little like this.
America.
That's the sound of an A10 warthog.
And then you just scream America at them.
Hey, look.
Hey man,
just
that's
because I
worked
played.
pretty well so far.
America
No, it
is
didn't.
atomizing.
Hey, I play
people
Kid
from
Rock
the East.
and
All right,
fucking
you guys have fun
make sure an
winning another
A10
World War
flies
fight.
all the day. So love that shit. America, motherfucker. That's what it is.
America, fuck
Fuck
Dude, but where are
yeah.
you from?
What's up?
Where are you from?
Tennessee, original.
Me too.
What part?
You the only 10 I see?
Hey, I'll show you a ton, baby.
Information.
Hold on, what?
He's north-south
Wait.
Tennessee.
Why the
Yeah.
fuck is everyone here either
Right.
American or British, pretty much?
Because the Europeans have all got lost.
Because we're English speakers. Hooray!
Canadians
Britain
are,
is no
are
longer
British.
European with Brexit. By
The
the way.
Canadians are
Forgot to
The
invite
United
Europeans
States
to
could remove
this.
itself from like
I'm
Asia.
Muslim guy.
America.
Messing everything up anyway, so.
You've
Prepare
missed
for
something.
No.
Oh, don't worry, he's allies.
No. I'm not Polish. I'm Indonesian.
Same thing.
That's worse.
He's Polish.
Oh,
so
so he's British
my
Empire then.
God.
That's fine.
It's red on white, not white on red.
British Empire.
Well, we had we had Borneo, which was basically Indonesia, the bit that mattered.
Well, at least. Alright, guys, this is a 10-minute warning. We're starting in 10 minutes.
Patrick, I'm sorry. It's white on red, not red on white. Easy mistake. I love you really. I'm sorry.
Who's eating?
Yeah, those some good crisps.
Let's not forget the great emu
Those some
wars.
good crisps there, buddy.
I'd like all Canadians to look at my avatar.
I'm just practicing for the when Artillery comes out, just sitting back and eating popcorn.
I cannot even tell what is going on.
That is Canada spiting the United States with maple leaves.
Your
Day of the
flag
rake
is literally a leaf. and-
Yeah.
Well, the maple leaf has always been associated with Canada.
Yeah.
Oh, Canada.
It's been associated with Canada since before Confederation.
I think
Since the 1860s, if I believe.
I think that picture was self-esteem blowing away by letting Quebec survive.
No, well, the maintenance of Quebec as a French francophone it was Britain's fault, actually.
Conway.
Yeah.
Poutine is on my bucket list for things I want to
I
eat
don't like
before
it.
I die.
If I'm being honest, it's not the best.
I mean,
it's
you
kind of
may
gross.
not like it, but I haven't eaten it yet, and I'll be damned if I don't try.
I
it.
wish you the best of luck in it.
Poutine.
Why would you eat it though?
Why? I want to give
Yeah.
myself a heart attack.
Seems
Fries with,
like
like,
so.
fucking
So if
gravy
you
on
could
it.
eat this like bowl of some sort of mixed food that gives you a brain aneurysm, would that be the goal? Is that why
Fuck
you...
yes.
Yes.
That's when he's 93 and
That's
peeing
like
himself.
half of America's food.
Is
Well,
that
sure,
what we're
but it
having for
takes
the
some
buffet
time.
here?
It's not
Oh,
like
man.
I go down to
I'm in.
McDonald's or something and suddenly my brain explodes.
I bought my own popcorn. Only you can have it.
Within the United States would skyrocket. We would not be a sustainable country.
Hey, clearly
You already aren't.
No, but Morgan, those that left would be pretty fucking decent.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I
Let's
don't
be
know,
real.
so I'm not
Are
gonna
there any
complain.
sustainable countries out there?
There's a freeloader tag.
We've survived long
Hey,
enough.
guys, come on,
With
guys.
its
We're all,
300
You've scraped
billion
by long
people
enough,
and,
I'm
you know,
we're all
largest
forgetting
economy in the
about
world
the
is
most
pretty
sustainable-
sustainable.
guys, we're forgetting about the most sustainable country in the world.
Russia.
No, it's
Switzerland.
Was that before or after socialism?
No, boys. Venezuela.
Oh my
The
god,
nation,
Venezuela at the moment.
Nah, guys, the nation
Shit.
that called Switzerland incompetent at handling gold, and then demanded that their gold was imported back to them, and they lost it within the night. Probably now in the fucking bank accounts or fucking safe.
What, of Chavez?
Of
Have you
Chavez and all that,
seen
yeah.
the scale of the protests going on in Venezuela?
It's hilarious how fucked up.
It's huge. People,
I feel
Europe
bad
were
for
like,
the
"Oh my
people, but,
god, Ukraine was so big," and you look at Venezuela, it's like, Jesus Christ, is that a revolution?
I'll tell you what, Venezuela would be Britain under Jeremy Corbyn.
Make Venezuela great again.
That is what would happen.
Turn into
right.
Britain,
Comrade Corbyn.
and Jeremy
You know what?
Corbyn's gonna move there. That sounds
Nah.
like a good move for Venezuela. It's pretty
I think we
good,
should
you know.
just deport Jeremy Corbyn to
No,
where he
because
belongs.
The thing is,
Vietnam.
Russia.
the way the way Venezuela killed, like, basically shot itself in the foot was when Chavez first took power. I don't know how to say his name. I'm not fucking.
Well, he
speaking
started
well.
seizing countries,
No,
organizations.
What happened is he'd go around to all the oil companies, ask them who their head engineers were, and fired them, and put in some retarded fucking party official instead. So basically, you had all these party officials who knew nothing about engineering in charge of these incredibly complex.
Well, that's
like,
nationalisation for you. We tried that, and how did that go?
The interesting
Winter
consideration
discontent.
there is that if you nationalize, say, an administrator, that's not such a big deal. But they're selecting the engineers, the people who
Yeah.
actually do jobs.
But let's just be honest, nationalisation under any terminology doesn't work.
That's just downright wrong. But sure.
Well, the
that-
winter of discontent in Britain, 1979, proves that it didn't work. After the Second World War, Britain nationalised everything, and it failed horribly.
A single anecdotal
Well, that's
evidence
Britain
in
for you
Britain
right there. I don't think that
is
applies to
proof for
everybody.
the entire.
Then we had Margaret Thatcher, and that worked brilliantly.
I think that's.
I mean,
that's
this
where you
whole
went wrong.
buildings lighting
Margaret
on
Thatcher.
fire is an interesting topic. We should probably talk about that. See how well corporations do when they're
Wait,
free to do
no.
whatever.
We
But,
must
you know,
privatize all civil services.
Absolutely.
We could always talk about the Civil War, you know.
Gentlemen,
Can I
I think
ask all
you're
the
Well,
people
not
real quick
police,
one
so
question?
I don't think so, Kilobox.
Yeah, Greg,
Yes.
go ahead.
Privatize the police.
Why?
Do you Brits
McDonald's doesn't
feel
have any.
regret over letting
McMercenaries, alright?
Rhodesia die?
No, but we have a national health service. Do you have one, America?
They need to be.
I don't.
responsible.
I'm
How
asking
are you
about
talking
Rhodesia.
about
We don't
the
want to pay for
benefits
crap.
of,
McDonald's security
like,
forces enforce the
non-nationalization
law.
of privatization and
Gentlemen.
using that as an example of your greatness?
Yeah, but your government spends more on healthcare per capita
We're
than we
drawing
do.
close to the time now. We're drawing close.
You have
so
more
I will
people
leave you
per
with one final
capita than we
comment
do, though.
before things kick off.
Southwest again.
Always remember, arm the workers.
Rhodesia.
All right,
Yeah,
gentlemen.
No.
Alright, ceasefire, everyone.
Gentlemen. Yep.
We're about to kill each other down here.
What happened?
This
No,
is
no,
a
no.
5-minute
Perfectly
warning. Before the meeting starts, I just want to go
5
over to the
minutes?
guys real quick. Just kind of how we're going to operate, how things are going to go down.